Hello everyone, my name is Nkosi and I am the Co-Executive Director for the Global Network of People Living with HIV, Gnp+. I've been in the role for 1.5 years and it's such an exciting time for us at the moment as we will be launching our new strategy. But also I would like to also introduce my new Co-Executive Director that I will be directing with, and Florence Anam.
Hi everyone, my name is Florence Anam. I am the new co-ED at Gnp+. I will be working closely with SIBO and excited to join the team in this capacity. I'm not new at the organization as I have been working here as well for the last 2 years, leading on one of our programs called the Love Alliance that seeks to ensure that people living with HIV, people from key population communities have the agency and the voice to lead on advocacy around access to sexual and reproductive health and rights. So in this new role, I'm excited to work with SIBO to steer our Gnp+ organization into interesting times. As you have heard, we have the new strategy coming out, and we will tell you a little bit more about why that matters to us.
What are the both of you looking to achieving together?
What I'm looking forward to achieving in this role is a demonstration of co-leadership. What that looks like, it's an embodiment of feminist leadership in which we deliberately agree to share power, to embody intersectionality, to embody humanity, and to ensure that every voice is heard, every person working in the organization, and for who we engage with is seen. It is a good leadership model to ensure that leaders are also held accountable, and exciting to share this experience as a lesson for ourselves and for the many who might try to co-create it.
As Florence has said, one of the things that the co-leadership model is based on is a feminist ethic. And I think one of the things since 2021, Gnp+ has really been committed and intentional about following the co-leadership as a feminist ethic and the values that it holds. I'm really looking forward to working with Florence in implementing and not just talking about the ethics of it, but seeing it come to life around collaborative leadership, but also how do we also create leaders amongst the organization, but also then building Gnp+ to be a really effective and stable global network for people living with HIV.
What are some of the opportunities you are looking forward to, and how does this tie into the world as you see it and the new strategy?
I think on my end, I've really seen Florence advocate for the work that we do in many from the communities and also in the global space. And I think I'm really looking forward to really growing that with Florence. But more than anything, we have a new strategy. Our new strategy really sets out on how do we build a stronger movement, but also how do we make sure that our work is rooted in community leadership. So really looking forward to making sure how do we make that alive and also working together. We all know that two is better than one. And with that, I think we can achieve so much together.
The world that we see right now creates an urgency in us to come together as communities to fight for our rights. We see it in Uganda with the law that is currently passed by Parliament. We see it in many countries where criminalization of people living with HIV, as people who are LGBTQ community, of people who are doing sex work and the people who are using drugs continue to create an environment of inequality and barriers to accessing HIV prevention and treatment services. It is a must that as we work together with SIBO to steer our work in Gnp+, that we remain grounded in the realities of what's happening on the ground, and that strategy that is going to be launched in May will give us that impetus to do this work in a more deliberate way, to create movements within our communities, to work collaboratively with our partner networks, to strengthen our voice speaking to the same things that are social barriers. We know that we've made great biomedical advances And treatment can be used to prevent HIV. We know people living with HIV who are on treatment and get to viral suppression have incredibly reduced instances of passing the virus to someone else. We also know that people living with HIV on treatment and virally suppressed can live long, healthy lives. What we also know is that the reasons why people continue to die and new infections continue to occur has got nothing to do with the fact that the medicine doesn't work. It's the barriers that we face at home, in institutions, in laws that continue to perpetuate this environment for which some of us cannot access services. So our work hopes to ignite movements and voices coming together towards addressing these very fundamental issues for us. And this is an exciting, but yet important part of the movement moving forward.
What does the co-leadership model mean for you?
The co-leadership model means, for me, working together with someone to make decisions. How I have been socialized is decisions are made by one person and everyone else toes the line. Coming into GNP+, I have learned in the last 2 years that decisions don't necessarily have to be made by one person, and that there's a lot of experience to be learned in sharing that space to make decisions collaboratively. It means more people get their voice heard, more people get their opinions on the table, and there's a lot of options for which to select and a lot of innovations around decision making. So as I am coming into the core leadership level of this, I look at this as an opportunity to continue in the learning and unlearning, of course, of how things used to be done or were done and how things could be done, and to show in our experiences at GNP+ what is possible. So that's what it means for me.
As I come from a background of social movements and understanding that our work is rooted around people, therefore collective decision making, but a collective of ideas, then we are able to achieve more as people. And I've seen how sometimes leaders have failed. Most of the time leaders have failed when they've made decisions alone, and the mistakes that have come with that. And therefore, I think co-leadership for me has really shown me the strength in working together, in having collective ideas, but also diversity in thinking about building a stronger movement. So I really, really look forward to sharing this with Florence around our diversity, but also our sameness in this position, and being rooted in the same values, but also working together, even with different views, even with different ideas, but making sure that we build a stronger GNP+.
What does the co-leadership model mean for GNP+?
I think for GNP+, it really means the organization would really be rooted in feminist values, such as collaboration, such as diversity, such as nurturing. I think since 2021, we've really been committed to really, really carry that ethic in the organization. And the core leadership will really, really demonstrate that. Florence and I are two different individuals. We hold the same values when it comes to leadership, of nurturing, of making sure that we build leaders in the organization, of making sure that we innovate through different ideas. As we know, innovation doesn't come from same ideas. Innovation means that to open up and allow more ideas, and therefore we're really, really looking forward to that. But also, community movement is built on collaboration leadership. So really looking forward to for GNP+, on the co-leadership.
The co-leadership for GNP+ is an opportunity for strengthened accountability. When we become deliberate about identifying where the power lies and zeroing in and opening those spaces up to ensure that there's checks and balances around how decisions are being made, but also to bring more voices to where those decisions are being made, to break barriers and ceilings, real or imagined, to motivate people to dream and to identify areas where their strengths, natural or learned, could take them in regards to their personal growth or their professional growth. we create opportunities for checking ourselves and expand opportunities for others to check us, not only Sibo and I, but to check us as an organization. And so that then if we are able to create these spaces, we become deliberate about working towards the highest level of excellence, because people expect something from us, that we stick to our values, that get questioned every day, every week, because they're not the usual values. It's like taking words that come out of paper and really being about them. And I feel like it's a new time in the world that every organization is being called to account around being very, very respectful about people, about their needs and their values. So this is an opportunity for GNP Plus to strengthen our accountability, to be very, very transparent in our work. And I'm looking forward to creating models for which we can be able to do that in the different levels.
What are some of the key highlights of the strategy, and how does this tie in with how GNP Plus envisions moving forward?
When we started the strategy process, one of the things that we were really quite intentional about as GNP Plus was to really start to review our previous strategy, but also really consult our communities to actually understand and not build a strategy that is based on just us, but we actually really consulted our partners, our communities, and our key stakeholders to answer some of the complex questions we had around our vision. And through that process, we really built really a strong strategy that is centered around collaboration, again, as we mentioned before. And therefore, I think for me the key highlight was really that as we think about community leadership in the HIV response, that we really need to build a stronger global network such as GNP Plus. So I'm really looking forward. One of our key pillars is building a really strong network, but not only just the global network of people living with HIV, but also how do we make sure that this goes to our communities? How do we build stronger networks so that we are able to we continue to lead in the HIV response? And ever since, GNP Plus has been growing. We've got offices in Cape Town, we've got offices in Amsterdam. We have a diverse team of people based around. We have a diverse and technical, really technical experienced team based across different countries, across different regions. Even our board is based on different regions, but also different representatives of our communities. So our strategy, we really wanted to build on the work that we already established, and how do we make sure that we build a stronger GNP Plus. So I'm really looking forward to that it's one of the key goals that we have so that we are able to sustain the HIV response.
The title of our new strategy, or rather the theme of it, is For Our Health and Our Rights. It seeks to respond to the current scenario we are in, the world we see, the world we envision. And so it speaks to taking us to the future. It is not lost to us that we are about 8 years shy of getting to the global goals of ending AIDS as a global epidemic by 2030. What happened next? How do we get to ending AIDS by 2030? We, as communities of people living with HIV, and our communities of key populations, know fully well the barriers that will not get us there. And we are hoping that with this strategy, we lay out systems and activities and actions that will be able to move us towards achieving this global goal, create very tangible, community-driven and community-led interventions towards achieving this goal, because it matters to us, not as a global target, but because it's our lives. Secondly, there's lots of work that Sibo has alluded to that we have been doing. Our work on the People Living with HIV Stigma Index continues to excite us in how much data we can be able to get and package from communities and to use to change legal, program, finance plans at country level. We will continue this work and other community-led research work to ensure that our advocacy is data-driven. Additionally, we want to be joined together in movement building about the matters that are for our lives. Treatment access is one of those very key things for people living with HIV. If one of us who needs treatment does not have their treatment in their hand, no one is getting to the end of AIDS at 2030. So this is very primal for us, and it's not a global movement. It starts from global and needs to connect very strongly with our regions and our countries to our households. We know it's not a matter of getting the bill in our hands that stops us from taking it. It's the things that make it impossible for us to move from taking the pill or the treatment from our hand into ourselves. Stigma, internal stigma. The environments for which we live in, where there's gender-based violence, where there's exclusion, where there's violence and criminalization. All these things make it impossible for us to access and take treatment. So all these things are important for us, and there's opportunity within the strategy to get very active around it. As I conclude, we are existing in a world where HIV exceptionalism is going away. Some see this as an opportunity, and it could also have its threats. But how do we organize ourselves as movements of people living with and affected by HIV to keep the HIV agenda well secured in the global plans current and into the future? In the discussions of pandemic preparedness and response, in the conversations of building resilient health systems, how do these work for HIV? Communities of people living with HIV have been here for years. We have a lot of experience and already existing systems and mechanisms for building community action, community monitoring and evaluation, community-led monitoring of services to improve quality service delivery. These things need not be reinvented. We can work with already existing systems on community engagement or task shifting, and we have all this experience that we need to share with you as you're thinking about the future and as you're thinking about broader health. There's a lot of opportunities in our new strategy, and once it's launched, I believe Sibo and I and all of our partners and our board members and colleagues or team will share the different aspects of it, and I hope you're as excited about the work that we have ahead of us, without not being true to the reality that it's a lot, but excited all the same, because a lot is needed to be done to get us to the global goals, but to think about the future.
What is something people should know about you as a leader?
So in the space of activism and advocacy, I think we all want to be advocates. I think all of us, when we feel so strongly about something, we want to be the one that does the doing. And I've had to actually, the past few years, understand what is my role within movements, what is my role within the work that we do. And for me, when everybody else goes into the wedding, I'm the one that stays in the house, so that to make sure that the house is clean, to make sure that that we have proper systems in the organization, that people are happy in the organization, that we pay our bills in the organization, that we so that when people come back, and when people when people are doing the work, when people are rejuvenating themselves, the environment is really a thriving environment, so that people then are able to go out there in the movement and fight the injustices and fight and do the work. But it's taken me some time to actually realize that is my role within the movement, and that's what I want people to know about me as a leader. That I'm okay with being in the organization and making sure that the organization is thriving, the organization is favorable, the organization is really good for everybody to thrive. And as Florence comes in, one of my biggest questions is, how do I become a better leader for Florence to be able to thrive and be able to, both of us, fight the injustices and also then build a stronger GMP Plus. Thank you.
I was born a leader. I'm an African firstborn girl, child. Some of you know what that means. Over time, I have grown in leadership, and one of the things that is and continues to be very highlighted in how I lead and do my work is growth. People and growth. So it's not about getting the work done. It's about how do you get the work done in a way that it grows you as a person, sure, but also grows the system for which you're working in. And so I swing between technical, professional, and personal. I believe that for someone to be at their utmost best, they need to be at their utmost best in all facets of their lives. And I have seen in great ways how that has helped to unlock people's growth potential, and for that being able to give us their best. And so it requires a lot of patience. It requires a lot of listening. It also requires a lot of moments of stepping back to look at someone and really see them for who they are and could be, and not just staff who need to get the work done. And so that is something that I'm hoping to bring into this space where the values of feminist leadership are embodied, and see how much we can be able to innovate around these kinds of leading, and to also showcase a little bit of a women leadership angle that is not very systems and products oriented, but also just focused around people and ensuring that people's values are tied into organizations' values as we go ahead.